And if you observe the 12th house in mundane astrology, because I am interested in 12th house now, because Saturn is transiting in Aquarius, and Aquarius is 12th house for Indian horoscope. So, India is of Pisces ascendant, and then 12th house is Aquarius. So, basically 12th house is losses generally in mundane astrology or in natal horoscopy. Also, of course, 12th house indicates losses and pleasure also, so too, because of pleasure we lose our energy, right. So, in that way also pleasure is actually considered in 12th house. So, losses, war and losses basically in mundane astrology. So, war and losses, so concentration camps and secret plots, military hospitals. So, if you observe the military hospitals energy, it's a 12th house energy, assassination, looting, rapes, enemies, secret plots, foreign spies, secret treaties, criminals, gambling, kidnappers, even prostitution, blackmail, deception, forgery, secret services, detectives, police, law enforcement authorities, jails, prisons, labor and concentration camps, so hospitals, slavery, misery, misfortune, poverty, scandals, epidemics, sea, smuggling, loss, extravagance, life in foreign place, success abroad, termination, appointment, retirement, spies, terrorists, foreign agents, war losses, foreign investments. So, if you observe this 12th house energy, it is completely a kind of it's showing a different state basically. It is not a regular state of a being, it is not a regular state of a country, right. Generally, when there is a kind of trance going on, there is a kind of uh, secretive energy going on. So, when 12th house is actually activated, even in natal horoscope, when your 12th house is activated, you are basically shifted to a different energy, a different state altogether, right. Even for a country, the 12th house energy activation makes the country to shift to a different level, and the level consists of all these things. So, the country talks about war and losses basically. Even when Saturn entered Aquarius, you just observe in India, we are talking about wars, we are talking about it can be a Indo-Pak war or Indo-China war, this kind of discussions, right, happening in the news or social media or in the government level, right. So, this kind of discussions, this kind of frictional things going on can be observed, and there is a kind of fear, there is a kind of fear about the secret plots, the enemies, right, foreign spies, that country is spying on India, so and so country is spying on India, in this way, or by launching a special ship over there. So, this kind of news, right, we are hearing, and basically see 12th lord, if 12th lord is in Lagna, it shows spies are active and foreign powers are trying to influence policy of country. So, it also signifies secret plots, spies and conspiracies. So, we are not checking Indian horoscope now, we are only checking the transit effects. The 12th house, of course, for the 12th house the lord is also here Saturn, and it is very powerful that Saturn transiting Aquarius. So, as long as Saturn is in Aquarius, we talk about this thing also, because see, when 12th house has Saturn, it is watching the 6th house also, and Saturn aspect is always bad. And now you can understand the 6th house is the war and border issues. 6th house is mainly related to that. And when in the month of June ending or sometime when Mars is also entering the 6th house Leo, then we may talk more about this war and all the stuff. So, currently means for when Saturn entered Aquarius till that time onwards, the kind of problems India is facing are in a different state, in a different level altogether, right. So, because 12th house is just back of the first house, it just shows how the existence is basically lost, right. The continuous draining up of the first house is the 12th house. That is why in astrology the fundamental principle is any consumption or any loss of energy of a particular house is decided by the house 12th to it, right. So, that kind of principle made as a fundamental thing in astrology. So, if you observe the current transit, that is Saturn transiting Aquarius, and at the same time the Saturn is aspected by Ketu, is pumping up a kind of different level of energy in 12th house, and there is an energy population in the 12th house currently, that is in Aquarius. It is related to the Saturn and also Ketu. So, where Saturn and Ketu, when you talk about Saturn and Ketu, there is a kind of karmic vairagya we talk about, means the detachment of work, means the tendency of the energy, actually the energy has a tendency to show not to work at all, right. So, this kind of energy is much populated in the 12th house. So, the 12th house matters are something like, so it's giving a tendency of slowing down the 12th house things also, right, because Ketu is aspecting it. So, it's trying to give a kind of detachment of what Saturn is pumping there, right, but still Saturn is very powerful in this particular 12th house, So, Saturn is trying to make the things a bit malefic because it is watching the 6th house. So, there is a kind of balance going on. So, something like Indo-Pak, the discussions are not very satisfactory, but still it is not coming up to the level of war, right. The aggression is a kind of, it is a balanced aggression, right. And the 6th house is the house of war or house of the border issues, is watched by the Saturn, is also maintaining that balance, right. It can be with China also, right. So, the balance is still present. So, that kind of energy we can feel at the current transit.